Hi, welcome back to the Running Master. My name is Dan. I've come to a bit of a junction in my training, and so it gives me a great opportunity to talk to you about interval training and whether you do it by distance or by time. First up though, there's just a quick one on this week's training. So I've had a bit of a dip in miles this week, which wasn't expected, but sometimes is necessary. This week was because life kind of got in the way. I took a week off of work, and so I've been doing decorating this week, and that's taken up quite a bit of my time, and also maybe a bit too tired to really get out and do much running. So the miles have dwindled, but that's not such a bad thing. I did actually manage to get out in the snow, which was really nice, but I had a bit of a falling out with my GoPro as well, and it decided to die on me after a few seconds, so I didn't get a lot of footage. I basically had it all lined up, took some video of my trainers. I went with the trail shoes with the ASICS Sonoma because it was snowing and because it was really icy. It really was much better to go out in trail shoes. So I did that, did a little intro, but it looks like we're going to go for a nice cold snowy run today. Got a little bit of the snow, and then, as I said, the GoPro died, so I didn't manage to get very much of that at all. So I didn't manage to get out and do any more running until the end of the week. There's something I've been putting off doing, and that is to get out and do a 10k. A 10k was something that I'd probably done during my lunch break. It really wasn't a big deal, but I had to look back at my training diary a few weeks ago and realised that I hadn't actually done a 10k in almost a year. And to be honest, that kind of then got in my head. I've been building up, doing sort of 4 miles, 4.5, up to 5, but not managed to get up to a 10k. And to be honest, a couple of those 4.5 miles were quite difficult. So I was a bit worried about actually getting out and doing that 10k, but I thought, you know what, I'm going to have to do it. I wasn't feeling like it, but I thought, let's just get on with it, see if I can get round it. And as it turned out, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see that I did it successfully. Actually, there was nothing to worry about. I got round it, far exceeded my expectations on what I thought I could do. And in fact, it went so well, it actually ended up being a progression run, where each mile was actually faster than the last. So I couldn't ask for any more than that. And that's really given me a big boost in what I'm actually capable of doing currently, which in a long-winded way has kind of brought me to this junction, and why I think I can now start actually ramping up my training and getting back to doing intervals. The other reason why this is really timely right now is that we've got Lent coming up as well, and I normally give up a lot of sugary stuff for Lent, so that's really going to help with the weight and getting back to fitness, as well as being able to do more miles and some stuff at a greater intensity as well. So I'm really pleased about the timing of how I'm starting to manage to actually get out and run further and faster than I have been able to do recently. Now I need to start structuring some intervals. I need to consider how I'm going to do it. The first way is by doing distance. So as a for instance, you might set it up and do 4 1-mile repeats with 2 or 3 minutes of recovery in between. So that's quite often the one that you will see if you go on Strava, or you see other people's training schedules. That tends to be what they'll do. It'll often be distance repeats, 1 mile, 1 kilometre, half-mile repeats maybe. Faster stuff as you get closer to competition, but if you're looking at doing 10Ks or half marathons, it's going to be those kind of distances that you're going to start off by doing to do your intervals. So there's a reason for that. One is that it's a nice, easy way of measuring your fitness. You can keep consistent. So two ways of staying consistent are, one is actually during the session itself, is that you want to make sure that each one of your 1 mile repeats are the same each time. You don't want to go off too crazy, end up doing a really fast 1 mile and then start finding that you're struggling at the end. You want to try and keep those consistent. We know that. The other thing is that when you come back to doing that same session again, you can measure yourself against it, see whether you're getting faster or slower than you were on your previous session. One of the downsides of doing 1 mile or distance repeats is that it's going to be reliant on your GPS. If you're not doing them on a track, which many of us can't right now, it's going to be very, very difficult to measure that 1 mile exactly. And so it's going to be reliant on your GPS or you knowing exactly where a mile is by measuring it beforehand. So there's always going to be inaccuracies there, maybe not too much, but you know, sometimes people have problems with GPSs and they end up messing up their workouts because of it. So you know, that's something that you might want to consider. On the flip side, one of the good things about knowing how far you're going to do is you can make a course for it. So if you're doing 4 1 mile repeats, you know that you're going to be doing 4 miles with some walking in between. So you can actually work out that you're going to be doing probably in that session, maybe, you know, obviously 4 miles, but maybe up to about 4.5 miles. So you can make sure that you get a course which starts and finishes where you need it to, whether that's your house or your car or wherever that might be. So you can actually figure out a course designed for your session. But there is another way, and that is to do your intervals based on time. So you're not actually setting yourself a distance that you're going to run, you're just going to run for a set number of minutes. And there's some advantages to doing that over doing the distance version. The first one, which is that there's less pressure. So actually, if you set yourself just a target of doing, let's say, 7 minutes worth of faster running, now that might actually end up being a mile if you are a 7-minute mile runner, but actually it doesn't have to be. It could be a little less, it could be a little more, it could be a lot less or a lot more, depending on how you're feeling. There's no pressure to hit that 1 mile. It's just stay on your feet and keep that pace going for 7 minutes. The second benefit is that it's easier to program into your watch. If you're following the Phoenix 6 demonstrations that I'm doing, I'll put a link up, but if you're following those, you'll see how quick and easy it is to plug an interval session into your watch. So you can base that on your time, you can say how many sessions, how many reps you want to do, and you can quite easily plug that in. It's exactly the same as doing Couch to 5K. In fact, this whole thing is really just an extension of Couch to 5K, because when you're doing that, you don't actually say how far you're going to go, you literally just say how many minutes you're going to run for and how many minutes you're going to walk for. This is absolutely no different at all. One downside of doing it based on time is that you don't know how far you're necessarily going to run. So if you were to, off the top of your head, say, I'm going to do 4 lots of 5-minute faster sessions with 3 minutes recovery, I'd have to work out how far that's likely to be. I don't know straight off the top of my head how many miles that's going to be. So I could find myself, like I said when I was doing the Garmin suggested workouts, I could find myself quite a long way from home without realizing. The final advantage I can think of is that it's really good for making sure that you spend that time on your feet. So by actually doing it in terms of time, you know how many minutes you're actually going to be running for. So it's quite useful if you're trying to get back up to fitness like I am, and you can say to yourself, okay, I'm going to do 4 lots of 8-minute efforts. I know that that's going to be 32 minutes worth of hard effort. So this is really, really good. So rather than actually worrying about how far I'm going, I can actually think about how much time I'm spending on my feet working at a harder effort. So for me, that's what I'm going to be doing and bringing into my training over the next week or so, and starting to bring in some interval training alongside the slightly slower work, trying to build the endurance up, as well as making sure that I'm getting some of that speed back into my legs, but nothing too fast, because I don't really want to end up back in an injury when I've had so much success over the last few weeks. So I hope you find that useful. Let me know if you've got any other advantages or disadvantages of doing either a time or a distance based interval session. Let me know in the comments below. Hope you found this useful. If you have, think about hitting that like button and hit that subscribe button as well too. That would be great. I will see you again soon. Thanks for watching. Take care and enjoy your run.